Welcome back, everyone. As a reminder, silence your cell phones. Remember to provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question. For those of you on Zoom, we'll get to you when we get a chance. And please, recording press conferences on cell phones or cameras is prohibited. Today for West Virginia, we have Jordan Harrison, J.J. Quinerly, and Kyah Watson. We'll take questions. Just raise your hand and we'll get rolling.
WVU radio. Go
ahead.
From that.
Start with you, Jordan.
Watching the game yesterday, they're a team that likes to play pretty fast, especially in transition. They got some good paint dominance down there, and they play together, move the ball really well, and they shoot the three-point shot pretty good. So that's what I get off of them first glimpse.
Thoughts on UNC, JJ?
Same thing as Jordan said. I think they got a couple of girls who can score the ball for sure. They big, it's pretty decent. So we definitely got to lock into everybody for sure.
Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, same thing that they said. Just pushing in transition, and then their post really trying to get the ball inside, and then guarding them on the three-point line.
Doug Bonjour, Associated Press. I guess JJ, obviously, you all mentioned North Carolina's size. How do you kind of go about attacking that when you have such a quick turnaround and only, so little time to prepare?
I think for us, we just need to stay locked in, like I said, and we got to go out there and play our game. I mean, they do got some bigs, but we played against bigs in the Big 12 all the time, so we still going to do what we can do, regardless of their bigs.
And on defense for you guys, I think it was you who mentioned yesterday that playing defense is fun. Do you kind of thrive off the maybe frustrations that your opponents have? Does that really get you going when you sense that what you're doing is, frustrating them?
Yeah, I would say yesterday or last game, I think number 12 was kind of breathing hard when we was about to press, and I looked at Jordan. I was like, yeah, we got him. Let's go.
Jordan, you have anything to add on defense?
No, basically same thing she said.
Luke Blaine, Daily Athenaeum. So for any of you, UNC was only up by 2 at halftime yesterday, and then they really just kind of came alive in the third quarter. What's the mindset going into this game from a defensive standpoint, knowing that they can just catch fire and score 30 points in a quarter out of nowhere?
Kyah, you want to start with this one?
I would just say that our defense each quarter, especially after that half, has to be good. We have to kind of be playing together, make sure our press is effective and kind of causing chaos out there.
Yeah, same. To piggyback off of her, we definitely got to rev up the pressure for sure. Like I said, they got a lot of girls who can do a lot of things, shoot, drive. So we definitely just got to stay locked in and pressure them, try to make them make mistakes.
Cody Nesper, West Virginia Sports Now. All of you, for all of you, you expect a good crowd tomorrow. After last season, though, can anything live up to what Iowa City was like? And how did you kind of learn to handle environments like that?
Jordan, you want to go with this one?
Yeah. I think it's going to be kind of hard to beat what we saw last year. And I'm glad that we were in that situation. So now when this situation presents itself, we're prepared and we know what to expect. But, honestly, we're just going to control what we can control on the court. If they're not scoring, then the crowd can't really get into it. So that's just kind of what we're going to stick to.
Anything to add? All right.
Daniel Woods, WV Metro News. I'll give this up to all three of you because you've all been here for all of it. Yesterday, with 25 wins, it's the first time WVU's won 25 games in back-to-back seasons in school history, and it's come in Coach Kellogg's first 2 seasons. So what about the culture of this program on and off the court since he's come in has stood out that's allowed you guys to have that kind of success that quickly?
JJ, go ahead.
I think us off the court, us hanging out, doing little activities together, hanging out at each other's houses or just doing random stuff. Then when we at practice, I think we all just gel really well and we all like each other. There's not a lot of animosity on the team, so I think that definitely is an advantage for us.
Kyah, anything to add?
Kind of like JJ said, outside the court, we all get along really well. Probably the only people I hang out with. But, on the court, I think we do play really well together, and we kind of have, like, that same goal, all the same goals. So I think that really helps us play good together.
Justin Jackson with the Dominion Post for JJ. JJ, I mean, obviously your name is found throughout the record book and your accomplishments at the school. What would it mean for you to add a Sweet 16 onto everything you've accomplished already?
Like I said, I think advancing was a big goal of mine coming into this season and even last season. So last season we came up short, so definitely this season I'm looking forward to advancing for sure. I'm going to go into that game like it's my last, and I'm going to play it like it's my last. So, yeah.
Anything else for the student athletes?
Cody Nesper, West Virginia Sports Now. JJ, was the section behind the bench, was that your fam club? And what did, there's a good WVU presence last night, so just what did that mean?
I think for us, we definitely feed off that energy. Like at home, that energy is amazing. So having them fans right behind our bench, a lot of people from my family had came down because, of course, Virginia is not that far. So it was just amazing, honestly. We felt the energy and we revved it up.
Anything else? Thank you, ladies. Good luck.
One, two. 1, 2, 1. Okay.
All right, we'll continue with West Virginia head coach Mark Kellogg. Go ahead and raise your hands, and we'll get started.
Tanner Mounts, U92 Radio coach. So obviously you were watching the game yesterday. What stood out to UNC, maybe that you thought could present a couple challenges for tomorrow?
Yeah, well, obviously two different halves, I think, and First half was a little bit slower. They came out and kind of changed defenses and looked like they made some nice halftime adjustments and, really turned up the pressure. This is an elite defensive team in North Carolina. They're extremely hard to score against. And then they pose all sorts of, problems on the offensive end just because of, they can spread it out. They're very balanced. Lots of different kids that come off the bench that can score. And they do it in multiple ways. So this is what happens when you get into these round of 32 type games, Sweet 16 type games. You're getting quality teams that are very well coached. And, and they just spread you around. And like I said, do it in a lot of different ways. But really, really good on the offensive end and then elite defensively.
Luke Blaine, Daily Athenaeum. So you've spoke a lot this year about how the elite teams will play a full 40 minutes of good basketball. And after seeing UNC only up by 2 at halftime yesterday and then go on a 30-9 third quarter, how important is that and how much more emphasized is that message about playing a full game?
Yeah, I don't know that it necessarily. We'll watch more than one game and, you take data from more than one. Certainly their adjustments were fantastic and they dominated that third quarter. But it's this time of year, you do need to play 40 minutes without question, and you need to sustain it. These games seem like they take forever. You hang on to every possession. The intensity is ratcheted up several notches than what, throughout the regular season. So they just have a different feel, and you really, truly hang on to each possession one at a time and valuing the basketball and rebounding and cleaning up some things that, we're not really a time of possession game like football, but in a sense, like you need ball in hand and you want to control the game as much as you can. And I thought yesterday North Carolina took control of that game in the third and the fourth.
Mark, Doug Bonjour, Associated Press. How do you go about just preparing for North Carolina's size advantage? Do you feel like, how do you go about preparing
You think
for that?
they have a size advantage? Just kidding. That's every game. Like we go into every game and we don't have a size advantage. So that's not new for us. We do have to game plan for that. So I'm not trying to downplay it because Gak Dang's having a really, really good year. And I've actually coached against her once before when she was at BC. But they have size. They have athleticism. Utsby, I think, is fantastic. She's the heart and soul of that team from my vantage point. I don't know if they say the same thing or not. But you just have to game plan for it. I'm not going to give you the game plan, but it's a part of what we do. But it's every night. Every night in the Big 12, we're bigger, or smaller. People are bigger than us, but I think Columbia said that about us too, that they had a size advantage over the Power 4 school, and those types of things too. But we have other things that we can do to combat that.
On that note, does it help that you are experienced with that, and that's something that you've had to deal with time in, time out?
Well, it makes the preparation a little bit better because you're just drawing off of a game plan that we've already had. When you're playing the Ayoka Lees and Audie Crookses and Von Lay at Baylor, and you can just go through the whole Big 12. It's there's elite talent at the 5 position or even at the 4, where we might be a little undersized, and then our guards are always smaller. Like I think we have the smallest backcourt in all of Power 4, so that's nothing new for us either. So really, all it does, I guess, maybe to answer your original question, is it's a short turnaround, it's a short prep time, and so you have to draw off of game plans that we've already utilized at some point throughout the season, and that just makes it a little bit easier for our kids.
Tanner Mounts, U92 Radio. Coach, you mentioned UNC has an elite defense. What is it that you've seen that specifically makes them that elite defense?
Yeah, well, it's a mindset first and foremost, but their positioning is great. Their rotations are great. They're tough. They're physical. They do a good job rebounding the basketball. And some of it is even just like in transition. They don't turn it over very much offensively. And a lot of people don't realize your defense starts with, I think, shots you take. What you do on the offensive end dictates what you do on the defensive end, and they just do a good job of getting into their stuff on the offensive end, taking the right shots. So their transition defense is really good, and then they can set and get set defensively, and that's when they're pretty elite.
Quinerly, U92. Do you look at when they went and played Duke with them also pressing, do you kind of look at that tape to kind of see what Duke did to mess with them? They had 20 turnovers against Duke. Do you go back and look at that tape and just kind of base things off of that?
Yeah, I think you try to find any teams that have similarities to the way you play, whether it be Duke or anybody else within their league. And You just try to find, do they have any holes? Do they have weaknesses? How can we capitalize on that? What can we take advantage of? And you try to, I think you game plan, and you always have like game plan A, and then you have, okay, if this doesn't go right, what are we going to do? And so you have like A, B, and C. Hopefully you don't get to C very often because you might be in a little bit of trouble. But if you can stay within A and B, then maybe you have, a fighting chance. But yes, to answer your question, yes, we go back and find maybe as close to like-minded teams as us.
Bryce Cohen, Daily Athenaeum. How does the experience last year playing at Iowa in that crowd translate into what the environment's going to look like tomorrow and how you prepare for that?
Yeah, well, I think we can draw off of it. I think we've talked about that even a little bit in your prep and how you go about it here for the next day and a half and what your focus needs to be on, which it was a year ago, and our kids did a great job getting ready for that one. I've said for most of the year, like if you played in that game at Iowa with those 15,000 people, and several people that were there that have been in some other big-time venues have said that was the loudest environment that they had never been in. So we can draw off of that. Now, it got pretty loud in there last night, too, when Donarski started going on her 13-0 or 14-0 run or whatever that was. That place got rocking, too. So they're all loud. But, yeah, I mean, I would say you're used to it, but it's how you respond to it. And, do you let the environment and the things that you can't control affect your mindset, or can we stay in the moment and kind of tune it out a little bit and stay together, which is what this takes. But yeah, that you work hard to get these home games. It's what was one of our goals, was so if we got to this point of the season, we could be at home. Obviously, we fell a little short of that. North Carolina did what they needed to do, so we have to play really well and overcome playing on somebody's home floor. So advantage them, but we will be prepared and we will draw off that experience.
Daniel Woods, WV Metro News. When Coach Bangert was up here, she brought up playing against your SFA team in the 2022 tournament. Do you draw anything from that experience? I know it's very different at this point. It was 3 years ago, but you draw anything about what she may try to throw at you tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit. Yeah, completely different rosters, different teams. Other than I think Gutsby was on that team. I don't think anybody else on their current roster was, and. Zaya Nugent's on our team now, but, who played really well in that game and had 26, but she just has battled some injuries and not quite, able to really help us as much as she did back then. So I will draw off maybe a little bit of it, but again, I don't know if 3 years ago is quite relevant enough today. But yeah, that's one time we coached against each other was in the first round in 2022.
Hey, Mark, Cody Nesper, West Virginia Sports Now. Coach Bangert said there's like bits and pieces of ACC opponents that she sees in you guys, so I'm just wondering on the flip, is there a Big 12 opponent that UNC reminds you of, or is it like bits and pieces of maybe teams in the league? Yeah, no, good question. We've talked about that a little bit, which we really try to do this time of year, and I think I kind of said that even about Columbia and personnel as when you don't know their personnel quite as well, we try to make references to teams, within our league. And so there's parts of it that I would see some Big 12 teams, nobody that's like completely identical, obviously. But I think we could take parts of certain players off certain teams is probably what we've done a little bit more. And then some stylistic stuff that, offensively this is, who they play like this team, and defensively they play like this team. And then we try to like package it for our kids to understand. Again, those were game plans, and we're trying to get our kids to go back to maybe game plans that we've used throughout the year to make it just a little bit simpler on the quick turnaround.
Hi, Mark. Doug Bonjour, Associated Press. Unrelated to tomorrow, there's been talk on the men's side, of course, of expansion. I was curious from your standpoint, if someone who's kind of, bounced around, bigger, smaller schools, do you think the women's game is ready for that, or, is that something that maybe is further down the line?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't even know how we got to 64 to 68. Now you hear, maybe we should go to 76 or different numbers, 74. I don't know how we even come up with some of those metrics. I think we're getting into this world where everybody gets to participate type stuff. I don't know that I always believe in that. I have been at the mid-major level where it can get a little frustrating when you have a great year and on the wrong night in your conference tournament, you don't get an opportunity to make it. And we felt that pressure. And so that gets frustrating if you're one of those coaches when you think you have a team that's certainly qualified for this stage and could probably do something pretty special. But at the same time, there's opportunities, at the Power Four for those teams that are really good that, maybe go 500 that should be in the tournament. So I don't know. If you expand it, does it get watered down? We had some scores that weren't great, weren't overly competitive. So I think that creeps into people's minds. So I think if we do, it's how do we set it up to make it competitive as much as possible. Are we playing, obviously, there's extra rounds to this, so who's playing earlier in it? Can we get those games to be competitive, almost like conference tournaments where as it goes, it should get more competitive, but can the first round games stay a little more competitive than some of the ones we get right now? So would be the challenge. So I don't know. I don't have a great answer for you because that's something I don't really get paid to make those decisions or think about a ton. I just kind of roll with it. But I have been at both levels, and I think there's advantages both ways. All right, fair enough.
Anything else for Coach?
Daniel, what's WV Metro News? With the win against Columbia, that's 25 in back-to-back seasons for the first time in program history, third time that WVU's won 50 across 2 seasons. So I asked the players, as far as a culture perspective when you came into the program, is there something that stands out that you wanted to establish that you feel like you have that has allowed you to have that kind of success almost immediately?
Well, certainly. I said, I think even at the press conference, I was a sustained success guy. I think that's one of the hardest things to do in college athletics, and maybe more so this day and age with everything going on. And we were fortunate. I was fortunate to walk into some really good players that chose to stay. That was important. We pieced together some really good ones a year ago and added some transfers, and then we're able to do that again to sustain it. I never set out, I guess, necessarily, or said we needed to win 25, or I was trying to win 50 in the first 2 years. It was just, man, how can we leave a mark? How can I put in a style and a system and develop this culture with great character kids and staff that allow us to do that? And that's really all it is for me. I mean, I'm just loving this right now because I get to go to work still every day. I'm watching this team achieve, essentially at the highest level. We've done some remarkable things in 2 years. I think we've risen the bar for our program. You can tell with the attendance increase and just the media coverage, and all of you guys that are here today. It's a few more than even a year ago. So that's we must be doing something right. But it goes back to the players and the staff and administration that just gives us, the resources to have success. And I just try to implement, a few things here and there and be a consistent guy for everybody and then let it kind of shine. But, I still think we can get more eyes on us. I still don't think we, maybe on the national scene, have gotten the level of respect that we probably deserve. I don't know that Quinerly has. I still think she's a phenomenal talent that maybe hasn't been talked about enough, on the national level. And there's narratives that, we get focused on certain teams. And I think there's even more stories to be told. So I hope ours continues to be written. I hope we can do something really special tomorrow and, continue to get more eyes on the West Virginia women's basketball program.
And then you talked about it a little bit this weekend, but a win tomorrow would be the first time WVU's gone to a Sweet 16 in a 68-team field. So what would that mean to make that mark for the program?
Yeah, well, obviously it'd be huge. We would, our players have talked about leaving a legacy. As a coach, you want to leave a legacy. You want to be a part of the best teams in program history. And, if we get there, I don't want to stop there either, so I don't want it to be like that's the all or nothing for us. But there are steps to it, and we need to pass that step. We need to pass that test, and we know it's going to be awfully difficult to win in here against the level of competition that we have. So I don't know if I've allowed myself to get there yet mentally, but if we do, when we do, ask me, and I'll give you maybe a little bit better answer on what it feels like to get there. But we'll dream about it, and we've talked about it, but I've never really allowed myself to go there yet. Too much work to be done.
All righty. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it, and good luck. As a reminder, Hammond Communications will post a recording of this press conference in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at ncaa.veritone.com. Transcripts are provided by ASAP and will be posted shortly. Thank you for joining us.